Alright, so I will begin by assembling the specimen pin and crystal mounting part. It starts with pulling glass fibers because they don't contribute that much to diffraction. Here I'm scrolling a glass capillary tube and pulling on it to create glass fibers. But if you hold it over the flame too long, it will just turn into this bent mess. So what you want to do is, when you're ready to pull the fibers, pull it away from the flame. So here's an example of a thicker glass fiber. Here's a thicker glass fiber, and you can just melt that. I just have this butane torch. And I'll just pull another one of these. Different thickness of glass will of course behave differently, so you'll have to get used to that. These are a little bit more challenging because they're very thin, but they're easier to pull long once you get used to it. So here's a very good one. So I'll just turn that off and begin assembling the specimen pin, which will include plasticine on the left, the glass fiber, a brass pin, some clear nail polish, and a sewing needle, and a glass slide. So what I like to do is take the specimen pin, the brass specimen pin, get some plasticine in there, it's hollow, and then poke the glass fiber through there and then glue it on with the nail polish. So that's pretty simple. So here I'll take the glass fiber and thread that through the brass pin, and then I will clip it to the length that I want. Usually I like to leave about 1 centimeter or so, maybe a little less, outside the edge of the brass pin. That tends to be a good length for the spindle stage and X-ray crystallography, but it really depends on your setup and what goniometers you use. Clip that carefully. It's kind of tricky because it's so brittle. And then I like to reinforce the base of the glass fiber with nail polish just to secure it. And I'll let that dry. Here's what the finished product looks like. Next, I'll crush up whatever crystal you're using. Nothing much to this. You just want to crush it and ideally sieve it to whatever size you want. Generally, I like having crystals that are around 200 microns. A lot of X-ray people like to have it around 100 microns in diameter. But I like having this balance between what's easy to deal with on the spindle stage versus what is good for X-ray diffraction experiments. And what you're looking for normally for X-ray diffraction is a relatively equant crystal. It makes the absorption correction easier. But you can outline the dimensions of the crystal in the Apex 3 software. But yeah, you're looking for something that's not cracked or twinned in any way, no clear twinning, and is pretty semi-transparent in this case, not just a clump of crystals. So So a nice single crystal, and I got lucky and found one pretty much immediately in this case, but that's because the starting material was really ideal anyway. So I'll just put a drop of nail polish on this slide that I reuse with the sewing needle. Yep, I'm picking that one. Then I'll scoop that up with the sewing needle and put that right behind the crystal so that when I drive the fiber through the pile, it goes into the crystal and it sticks to the end of the glass fiber. So I'm going to drive through this, and that'll stick. And what I'm trying to do, since I'm going to be measuring the optical properties of this, is not coating the crystal in the nail polish or glue or whatever you use, but I'm reinforcing the base. It's sort of out of frame here, just to make sure that it stays on. Just wrapping some of the glue around the base of the crystal, and then I'm wiping some of the excess off here. And then I'll usually straighten it out a little bit so that's like resting on the very tip of the fiber. And let that dry for a minute, and then you're good to go.